Okay, here is the homework help vid, select practice problems 2, 6, and 10. All right, so it says to convert the radian measures to degrees and degrees measures to radians, and that's for problems 2 and 6. 10 is kind of its own thing, right? And you're just supposed to graph this, right? And so we'll graph this in a second. So we're going to do 2 and 6 following this, all right? So we're going from degrees to radians, all right? So if we got degrees there, we are going to have degrees down on the bottom and radians on the top. And that way our degrees will cancel, right? Well, how many degrees to how many radians? Well, it's 180 degrees to pi radians, right? And so we have 225 over 180, right? So it's just a matter of finding, okay, what can I divide these by, right? And so there's actually, when I first did this one, I realized that you can start it and kind of keep going. So what I did is I divided it by 5 at first. All right, I said let's divide them by 5, both of them by 5. So I went 180 divided by 5 to do the bottom, right? Said okay, 5 goes in 3, 15, 30 goes in 36 times. So I'm gonna change this to 36, and then 225. Well, 5 goes into 240 times, and then it goes in another 5 times. So you got 45, right? So 45. Let's just verify that. 45 times 5 is 25 and 2. Yep, get 225, right? So you have 45 over 36. Well, these are both divisible by 9, right? So 9 goes into this 5 times. 9 goes into this 4 times. And now we're simplified. So now we've got 5 times pi over 4 radians. And this is your simplified and correct answer. Um, all right, so next one, 6, right? I'm going to clean up, make some room here. All right, 6, we got negative pi over 3 radians, and we are going to degrees, right? So this is radians, and so that means when we multiply, we have our radians on the bottom so that they cancel, and then we're going to degrees. Well, and then put in your numbers. Well, the pi goes here this time, and the 180 goes up here. And so what happens is your pi should always cancel out, right? So this pi cancels out that pi, right? And then you have basically 180 divided by 3. Well, 3 goes into 180 60 times, 60, right? Because it goes into 18 6 times, and you multiply that by magnitude of 10, so it's 60, right? And then you just have this negative here that you can't forget about. So you wind up with negative 60 degrees. And so if you play around with these things, you can use cancellation and clean them up pretty quickly so you don't have to wind up sitting here doing all these like silly little calculator things. All right, and so this last one, if I'm going to graph this, that's what it asked for on the homework. It says to graph this, right? And so if I'm going to graph 4 pi over 3, this is what I know. I know, first of all, that I'm going to start here, right? And I'm going to do it like this. And I know it's going to go at least, and I'll erase this in a second, it's going to go at least this much, right? Because that's pi radians. And this is 4 pi over 3, which is a little over pi radians. So what we do is we just take 4 pi over 3 and let's just convert this thing into degrees. And it'll just make it a lot easier. So we got radians there. Multiply, put your radians on the bottom and your degrees on top. So the 180 goes with the degrees and the pi goes with the radians. So your pi's cancel, your radians cancel. And then we have 3 goes into 180 60 times. We just did that up here, right? And then you have 60 times 4, which is 240 degrees. And that's the measure we want to plot, right? So 240 is, take 240 and you subtract 180 from it to see what's left, how much more we got to go, you get 60, right? So we're going to have a 60-degree angle here. So it's going to be kind of down here like this. So this comes around like that, goes there, and you are finished. And now that my cat is starting to meow, it is time to go. So good luck with these, and we will talk to you later.